Today's going to be a quick video on preparing this differential for use for a drift machine. We're going to weld it, and we're also going to change the flanges out so we can use 330 axles. All right, let's drain this diff. Give her some time to drain before we pull that cover. I don't like the big booger everywhere.
Look with your bag. Sick.
Dude, it's like brand new oil in there.
Is it?
It's not bad. All right, we're going to pull the rear cover off of this, as you can tell.
Super short, too.
Me.
See? Short.
Oh, it stinks.
I smell it already.
Gear oil smells so bad.
You have a little cup somewhere?
Let me just take my pole camera.
Get close to it.
I don't trust you.
Okay, you want to hold it then?
You guys arguing?
I'm making him smell the gear oil.
Oh, that's gross.
All right, we're in here now. We're gonna clean that diff up and weld it. So if you've been following along on this build, you'll know that this is a 325 rear differential, which contains the 346 gear ratio, which is ideal for what we're gonna be using it for. The issue with that is the flanges on these are different from the 330 axles, so we have to remove these before we start any welding. I should get a slide hammer for this, but I'm gonna use my universal axle hammer out tool.
Easy.
Closer.
All right, here's the differences between the
Get close.
All right, here's the differences between the flanges. The one in my right hand here is the 325 axles, much weaker. And these are the 330. You see the pairs, 2, 2, and 2. This one has 6 separated ones. The diameter of the flange is also a little bit bigger too. The spline shaft and all that's the same on the inside, so we can just quickly swap them out, no problem.
Hey, boss.
What?
Wait, is that a 3-2? What is it? What are you putting in? Oh, yeah, okay.
Dirty ones are the 330s.
Yep.
There's one. Making some noise.
Man, you should hit up strength hay with those ones and be able to press that. Nice.
All right. 330 axle flanges on a 346 diff. Now it's time to weld. So we gotta make sure this is completely cleaned out. Spray the heck out of it with brake parts cleaner. Make sure it's totally clean, free of oil. So these little plates, you can get them. You can either just weld the diff, weld the spider gears together and just make sure there's enough weld in there to hold them together. Or you can do a little cleaner solution. We got to Drift HQ and ordered these. They were like 12 bucks, right? Yeah, they're about $12, maybe give or take with inflation. But they kind of just hold into a couple of the spider gear teeth and give you something easier to weld on. Good Lord. Lord. Pause it. Yeah, there you go. All right, plate number 1's in. I got 2 people in here with hoods now, so I don't have the hood for my camera. I'm just gonna turn the brightness setting down, and you're just gonna have to be blinded.
I think you caught fire.
We'll just let that burn off. I'm gonna fire up that last one. All right, there's one side done. I'm gonna flip it and do the rest. I'll do that off camera.
Oh yeah.
Smooth.
Nice and smooth.
All right, we got DJ Scott on the turntables. With all the bearings without oil and being hot, kind of seized the thing a little bit. So we lubricated everything, cooled it off, and it's basically just getting the oil circulated through the bearings. So the diff's completely welded. You can't really see it well on the camera. I'll get my EV boosted. I went between each of the teeth on the spider gears to make sure everything was bound together. There's a little bit of spatter, but shouldn't be an issue.
You're filming this so intense.
No, this is right. No, that's wrong.
I was like, I was right.
Keep that.
This wrong.
Like an hour of tacking.
There's so many hands.
All right, we found out later on we're gonna wind up having to swap diff input flanges. So what we've done so far is, where's that ring at? So far we pried out this little piece. It's like a little lock washer thing. It tabs into each end of this. And even though we did all that, still had to modify this 30mm socket so that it actually will fit down in there. Gotta grind it down on the end, or use a very thin walled socket. But in this instance, we marked the location of the bolt because the backlash of the pinion gear needs to be exact. So we found through the internets that the distance is more or less the spec. It's not a specific torque spec. So we're gonna try to put it right back where we were with the other flange, hope that they match up well enough. All right, so the method we're gonna use to get this off, because we couldn't pry against anything else, we're just gonna ugga-dugga. Hopefully we could use our mark to estimate the backlash, but let's do it. That was it?
Very easy.
Impacts for the win.
Literally. Oh.
Oh, pick it up. Oh. Okay, here's our 325 diff flange. Here is our 330. As you can tell, they're a little bit thicker, but the spacing between the nut seating surface and the back of this is identical between the two. So if you use calipers and ran it through there, it would be the same measurement. So using the nut marking, you should be able to get the same torque value roughened out using an impact or whatever. This would be a good time if you had it apart to get a new seal put in, but we're just gonna send this one. So, we got to tap her in there, man.
We're threads now, so.
Yes, let's do this. Wait, is this recording? All right, getting close to it using the impact. Okay. See, that's
dead nuts.
it's on now, but is it?
There's no way it could do a whole other turn.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
As you might have saw, just barely putting it on with the impact and getting it started, the notch was only a little bit off, and it just took maybe a 1/16 of a turn to get it where it needs to be. And there's no way it's gonna do another full rotation under that torque. So I'd say we are secured in place. I'm gonna drop this back in, at least for the most part. We wound up destroying the 325 one, so we're using the 330's little lock ring so that these notches actually don't match up. Screw it, let's hammer them in.
Let's hammer.
There's one. All right, today I'm gonna be installing these subframe reinforcements. There's various companies that make these. They're all pretty much the same. We pre-bent ours beforehand and painted them with weld-through primer on both sides. The chassis side has also been prepped, so I'll show you what that looks like. We got us a little rust situation to deal with, but nothing terrible. You can see the weld-through primer there, up top on that, where the studs come through. And then for the rears, there's the right side, and then there's the left. Obviously we removed the fuel tank so we don't explode. So I'm gonna get to welding. So all these brace pieces, I'm gonna use the bolts from the chassis to cinch them down, and then I could weld around the perimeter. All right, you kind of see how they're in. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, and then there's the back two hammered in place. So basically I'm just gonna work my way around and weld the whole thing. Got Tyler down here slathering everything in POR 15. Welds are already ground down. He did all that. All right, the rear end is in position and we are going to install it. We're just gonna use jacks to get it up into place and put the bolts in for now. Run the time lapse. All right, we got our rear end in. Everything's bolted up, secured, Loctited. We still got to put these in, but we're going to wait to get the rear shocks and springs in before we go there and put that in. We already got our dual caliper set up. I'll show that in another video of how putting this together works. And we also have our Chase Bays hydro e-brake line. We're going to install that. I'll do that in the other video as well. I'm going to include a full video on just doing hydro e-brake stuff. We're also keeping the stock handbrake. We got the cables ran through there. We decided to use the donor car's arms and everything, so because they looked a lot nicer. So as always, if this video helped you out in any way, or if you enjoyed it, drop it a like. We are going to keep rolling out content for multiple vehicles, so go ahead and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. See you next time.